Hi, I'm Greg Ulan with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected Live at NADA. Couldn't be more excited for this conversation. It's my favorite one every year. Get to sit down with Cliff Banks. We've been doing this for, I don't know, probably at least 5 years, Cliff.
At least, yeah.
Wow. So I'm excited. Usually we do it on the last day. Today's the first day, so we're probably both a little fresher. So we'll see where this conversation goes.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
Right.
Great to be here, Greg.
Yeah, well, thanks for making time for us. Obviously, you got a ton going on this week, as always, but I appreciate you finding time. So let's just jump in.
Sure.
You see a ton of stuff throughout the industry,
right?
Whether that's hosting AUTOVATE, right? Whether that's just talking with everybody inside the industry. You've been around for decades, not to age you, but I mean, you got a lot of experience. So a lot of connections. What maybe, give me a couple things that are most interesting to you right now that's kind of happening in the industry. What kind of do you look at in the morning and you're like, what's going on with this today?
Yeah, obviously the AI question is always front and center right now,
Yep.
and what the overall impact. I just think that's an ongoing conversation, and one that there's no easy answer or hard answer to. I mean, when I say hard, it's just going to be a moving target consistently. I mean, for the next several years. I'm paying attention to the whole ride hail or Waymo question.
Have you? We'll keep going, but have you done a Waymo ride?
I've done probably 80 now.
Yeah.
When I go to Scottsdale, I use it quite a bit. It's great having that choice between Uber or the Waymo. I've had a few hiccups here and there, not having the driver in the car, but for the most part, I feel safe. I haven't done it on the highway yet. I think maybe that feeling of safety will be a lot different doing 70 miles an hour on a highway versus 40 miles on a surface street.
Yeah.
But it's good having that option, when you land in the Phoenix airport and go, okay.
Yeah.
But I think the question that I'm going to watch closely as it starts becoming more prevalent in cities.
Yeah.
Is there any impact on ownership?
Yeah.
Because, are we going to see people stop, maybe going down or paring down their personal fleet from 3 cars to 2 cars or to 1 car because you have a Waymo?
Do you think there will be?
I don't know. We didn't see we didn't see ownership rates drop with Uber and Lyft, but keep in mind, they needed personal drivers. So that kept the ownership rates and maybe even increased the ownership rates. Some of it depends on population, how all that plays out too. But no, I could see maybe, listen, Waymo's testing in Detroit, and I could consider, and this is heresy, in this environment, but honestly, I could consider paring down my fleet if I had a Waymo. If we had a Waymo available. Because people like me, you probably don't believe it, but I'm somewhat of an introvert, and there are times you just don't want to talk to someone, and it's nice having that option. But I think it could over time. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like here in the next 5 years.
I don't know. It's interesting because I could see it. When it's easy to see the current use case, right? So the current use case, it's a taxi. It's right. That's what it is.
It is, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I think it may chip into fleet sales, certainly for OEMs, but I just don't know about personal ownership. You think about some of the use cases. So I don't know, and everybody's at a different phase in their life, right? But I think about my life, and I'm running kids around to practice or whatever, to school, to events, like constantly. I'm probably not going to throw my kids in a Waymo. Right. I'm not gonna I'm still gonna drive them around. So it's an adult transportation device. And I stretch to find a use case where it's like, I can get rid of my car.
I think I agree for the most part, but as you start seeing it more like in Scottsdale, Phoenix area, or San Francisco, or I think we'll see it in Atlanta and Miami, and in some of those areas, I'm not saying it's gonna be a full scale. But it's just something to pay attention to. I think I was thinking about this the other day coming in from the airport, and I was wondering, I wonder, and I don't know why it popped in my mind, but I wonder what impact Uber has had on the whole car rental. I wonder if there's, and I was like, maybe I'll go back and look at some of the data and see. And then on top of that, but also drunk driving arrests.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I don't think there's going to be a massive shift yet.
Right.
But it's fascinating to see how far it's come.
I agree.
That technology has come.
Yeah. How do you, and shame on me, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but I don't know. What does the maintenance model look like for Waymo? Do they service all their own vehicles? Do they contract that out to dealers?
They have depots, and I think it's different models, maybe different cities.
Okay.
They have different, but I think that's one of those things that's just still, they're working through, and it's evolving.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just wonder if there's an opportunity there, even for retailers, right? For dealers.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But there's always opportunity. And if
sure.
anybody's going to find it, it's going to be a car dealer.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true.
So another thing I wanted to talk with you about, we were talking a little bit earlier on about Scout and how that's going to play out and what implications it could have. So I'll leave it there and just get your thoughts, and we can kind of dive in.
Well, I think it's a very hard argument for Volkswagen or Scout to make that it's not part of Volkswagen.
I agree.
I mean, any reading of the financial documents and anything, I mean, it's clearly part of Volkswagen. So legally, I don't know how they make the argument that they can sell directly to the consumer. Now, Colorado recently their motor vehicle board voted in favor of Scout, and I was talking to a dealer yesterday from Colorado, and he said, well, we filed a lawsuit immediately.
I would certainly hope so.
But I think they may have been caught by surprise a little bit because of the construction of the motor vehicle board in Colorado. You had 3 government appointees who are going to go whatever the governor wants, obviously.
Sure.
You have 3 used car dealers, 3 new car dealers, and 2 of the 3 new car dealers voted in favor of Scout based on what this dealer was telling me.
Really?
And they can't, they don't know why. And they're not talking, apparently. So, and this is, I'm getting a second hand, but
sure,
from one perspective. But yeah, that was I think it was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
But I think it's a warning shot to the state associations to make sure, they've got everything buttoned up and make sure they know where where the opinions are on the motor vehicle boards.
Yeah, and if for no other reason than to save the legal headaches, right? Even if you end up winning in the long run, the time, energy, and resources that are going to go into defending against this, it's nip it in the bud and move on.
Yeah, and it's just I just don't understand the thinking that Volkswagen has. Now, I guess, and we talked a little bit about this beforehand, but and I'm on Twitter or X or whatever we call it these days, probably way too much. And you don't want to base your opinions or based on, but the reality is that anytime someone publishes something about car dealers online on Twitter, it's 99.9% the comments that follow are all anti-car dealer. And but that's where the sentiment seems to be.
Yeah.
So, I think people, maybe some of those are seeing, see that and make some of their decisions based on that, obviously.
Yeah.
But despite that, we're still selling 16 million units, 16.3 maybe this coming year.
Yeah.
It's going up. I mean, and that's new cars.
Right.
And you throw in the used cars, you're still talking 50 million vehicles being sold out of the dealership.
Right.
A year.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, and a lot of us, right? I think you included, trying to change that narrative and open people's eyes to the fact that
I don't think we'll ever change. I don't think it ever.
You're right, and it frustrates me though because it's not, being a part of the industry and knowing so many people in the industry, knowing so many dealers. It's like these are some of the most genuine people out there, some of the most caring people out there, some of just the best humans that you're going to meet, and. Because somebody felt like they got ripped off at some point by one sales guy. They have this bad taste.
To your point, I mean, I think the challenge we have too is it's a people business.
It is,
and you're talking, you're talking close to 400 million probably interactions,
right?
Just with new car dealers. I'm not even counting used car dealers. So a year. So I think about all my interactions with companies, airlines, hotels. and some are great and some are bad. And
Right.
you can be on Delta and have a great flight attendant one day and have a terrible flight attendant the next.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not so much Delta, maybe American. You get more chances of having a bad experience, in my opinion. But sorry, American. But but I think that goes to the point. You could have a great dealership and do everything right, and someone could be having a bad day, or you could have someone that's trying to make some extra money, and But again, I think there's a lot dealers can do.
Yeah. But I also, I do think it's part of the curse of the business that we're in.
It is.
Right. You think about, you mentioned an airline ticket, right?
Right.
So an airline ticket might cost you $1,000.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A car costs you 60.
Right.
That hurts a lot more when you
Yes.
feel like you either got ripped off or
Right.
got sold something you
Right.
didn't want. So, $1,000 is a different transaction
Right.
than $60,000.
Right.
It just is, especially if
Right.
you're paying for it over 7-8 years.
Right.
So, it's a good and a bad thing, right?
It
We
is,
get to
yeah.
sell really a luxury product.
Yeah.
Even though we may or may not view
Right.
it that way, a vehicle
And it's
is
already
a luxury product.
already an adversarial process from the word
Right.
go. So you a lot to overcome. So I don't know that. Again, I guess if I'm a dealer and I'm looking at it, and I don't know that I guess I don't care. I wouldn't care as much about all the noise on that end, because to me, I would be confident as a car dealer I could create a dealership experience that beats everyone.
Yeah.
And I can do business the right way and not just from a consumer perspective, but also all of the blocking and tackling that I talked about earlier. I can nail all that down and be a phenomenal car dealer. And I'll tell you, I talk to dealers, you guys do too, I mean, all the time, that are they're under the radar, that are phenomenal businesses, both from customer experience and also profitability. And so I would say I'd be glad that there are bad dealers out there, because there's something you can measure against and be better than.
Yeah.
And you can't be, if everyone's operating at the same level, you can't be better.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I say this often. I welcome the messiness if I'm a car dealer, and just the friction and all the crazy stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
Well,
and then if you can wow somebody, it really stands out.
Exactly. Right.
It really stands out. It's
right.
If everybody's wowing somebody, or you're kind of average like everybody else, it's status quo.
Right.
But if you can wow somebody, that's when you build loyalty. That's when you really set something in somebody's mind.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. So, Cliff, let's talk a little bit about, I don't know, you're always good at future casting, or I can at least usually get you to talk about future casting.
I don't know if I'm any good at it.
I never go back and look at it. So in my head, you're always right.
There you go. Yeah. I've made some bad calls. I've made some good ones though over the years. Yeah, but yeah.
So let's talk short term first. What do you think? What's one thing that's going to have the biggest impact this year for dealers?
I think we've made it through the tariff stuff, and despite all of the prognostications last year of hair on fire and what was going to happen, it wasn't as bad.
Sure,
it wasn't that bad. Sales still went up. Profitability went down a little bit, not a ton, but so I'm taking the long way to get to this. I don't know that I see anything on the horizon right now that is going to be massively impactful. I think it's going to be more of the same.
That's a really good answer. I was talking to somebody just today about how positive and optimistic this NADA feels, and I think that's why.
Yeah, I think for sure. And maybe interest rates come down, maybe at some point. You just never know the black swan, or you just never know with President Trump what the next. But the thing is with him, I think we've learned that we can probably, instead of having that initial gut knee-jerk reaction to everything he says or does, you take a step back and let things play out. I think long term, the Chinese vehicle question, the Canadian thing, a little disconcerting with them.
Yeah.
But I do think that's more political posturing on Canada's part than it is But there's a different attitude with Canada, my friends in Canada, towards the U.S. So, I hope they don't run into the arms of China. But I think there's not this year, not next year, but towards the end of the decade. I mean, who knows where that looks like. But I don't know that I'm really unless something completely unforeseen happens.
Sure.
I think it's just going to be more of the same. Dealers focusing on profitability, manufacturers. It was interesting. I mean, they did maintain discipline, pricing discipline for the most part. Incentives went up a little bit, but nothing. It was nothing crazy. And we came in right above 16.1 million unit sale, or 16 million, which is what I predicted from the work. I mean, I said I thought we were going to hit that number rather easily, and that happened. I mean, there's maybe a little more volatility at times, but I'm steady as she goes right now. I think.
Nice.
I'm hoping that we have a level of stability. And it's crazy calling it stability in this world, but I think, you cut out all the noise and just let things play out. I think you say, okay, all right, it's not as crazy as obviously the manufacturers were scrambling on tariffs, and it wasn't, steady as she goes for them.
Sure.
And it's still a lot of fallout and work. For them. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not seeing anything on the horizon. I think the AI question we talked about is an ongoing. We're all still learning. There's going to be some fallout, some shakeout. The vendors we see on the floor here. I think it's patience. I think learning, continuing to learn, see what works, what doesn't, and keep in mind what works today may not work next week. Yeah. With AI. I mean, you just don't know how these. Yeah.
When you got to see the tangible ways it's being used, right? Yes. You have to be able to implement things, because I think there is a lot of talk. Everybody talks about AI, right? If you're not talking about AI, then you're in a cave somewhere,
right?
But once you get down to, okay, how's it built, right? What's the data layer underneath it,
right? Yeah,
and ultimately, how can you use it? Because that's the end of the day. That's what matters.
Yes,
right. How can you use it to impact your business?
I think there's different levels here. So one, obviously, how you're engaging with a customer. And I said this last year on the live stage, and I thought the agentic conversation was going to be much more prevalent this year, and I think it is.
Oh yeah,
right. But I do think, obviously, you really need to be careful how you leverage it, engage with the customer with it. I still believe you got to be upfront that it's a bot or AI. You can't fool the customer. Some companies disagree with me on that, but I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
Second, you're operational. Yeah,
that's where the power lies.
Right. That's exactly. And you guys are doing a lot of work on that front.
Yeah.
And a lot of advancing that ball down the field. The other one too, I think it gets that we talk about, but maybe doesn't get as much attention, is really on the search side. And this is where I think some of the things we take for granted, maybe the rating, the reputation of a dealership, and how is that going to play into AI search?
Go on.
Because what are those, what's the AI going to look for? As customers maybe are looking less at typing into Google less, but maybe talking to Gemini or ChatGPT, hey, where's a good dealership, or I don't know, where are they getting their information? And so you want to, I still think the Google aspect is incredibly important,
right?
Because it's relying on Google. I mean, it has, but again, I think probably more, maybe at some level, the dealer reputation and the reviews that are on Google or on the dealership website are going to be incredibly important when it comes to search and putting those, to the top. And maybe videos, video content on YouTube. I mean, there's a Chevy dealer out of Pennsylvania, and I've bought a few Chevys, over the last few years, and he has the best walk around videos, 20 minutes. And after I buy, I go and watch his videos because I want to learn about the vehicle. Yeah. So I have make my family sit down and watch it. But I want to, I think maybe that content becomes much more important too.
That's interesting. Yeah. And
And I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that that's a really interesting takeaway when we think about AI, but
shifting
it to the the AI kind of assistance that people are going to use,
right,
as it becomes more and more prevalent.
Right.
And right now, it's just not that much, right? I mean, it's a couple percentage points.
Yeah,
but it will grow. It's not going to not grow.
There's no way it doesn't grow. I mean,
right.
The AI companies are going to have to rationalize the huge investments that they're making and getting, and at some level, advertising is going to be the way. I'm sorry, but it's going to be the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they come up with a different business model, because the advertising model in search is the greatest business model ever created. Like I don't care what you. I'll argue this all day long.
Yeah.
What Google was able to create.
I agree.
The greatest business model ever created.
Yeah.
And it shows with how big of a company they've become and how valuable they are. So if there's another way to monetize what is effectively search, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think obviously it's an evolving conversation, but already there's talk of them, OpenAI going the whole, and they're trying to pacify everybody and talking about how the ads are going to be. I'm sorry. Once you put that dollar figure in front and you start realizing
you get the taste.
Yeah. I mean, it's, all bets are off. I think that's,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Chinese manufacturers.
Yeah.
How do you see that playing out?
Yeah.
It's, there's a lot of question marks. I don't know. How do you see that playing out?
Well, we were going to have Chinese vehicles being sold here. It was BYD. They had the dealers lined up, and they had a pretty aggressive plan in place. They had a banker ready to go.
Yeah.
And then Biden, it was during Biden's administration, and he implemented the 100% tariff on Chinese vehicles, and that stopped it in its tracks. Right now, politically, we are aligned, both the Republican and Democratic side, on the fact that allowing Chinese vehicles in from Chinese manufacturers is a no-go due to national security issues. And I think anyone in the intelligence community would agree with that. I mean, so and it's almost a visceral gut reaction when that I perceive when I hear even the Democrats talk about it. But people on either side of the aisle who are in a position to know.
Sure.
They're not talking, out of thin air, just making up stuff. They know, and they see that they see the intel. So I think that's a big data point for me, in that it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
The other question I have, and I don't think it's answered yet. I mean, we talk about how great the quality is right now. People talk about that. Ford's, Jim Farley has talked about how phenomenal it is. And I think there was another report today. There was a report that was strongly denied this week that Ford was talking to Xiaomi regarding building Chinese vehicles, or building vehicles here, EVs, doing a joint. And then that was strongly denied. But then today I saw a headline, I haven't explored it yet, but they were talking with another company. I forget who it was now off the top of my head, but they're talking to another company.
Yeah.
About it. So maybe there's some fire to that smoke.
Yeah.
I wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. Trump could very well open the door and say, you build them here. We'll, and I think, that would be much more palatable to some people, as long as the same constraints were put on Chinese automakers that were put on foreign U.S. automakers when they went into China.
Yeah.
JV, we get it. So we'll see. Open-ended question. And again, I'm not so sure that the quality is as good as people think it is. I think when you cram all that technology in to a vehicle, you can make it look good for a couple months. You make it look great on a video or on a test drive.
Yeah.
But we'll see long term. Is that reliability Yeah, you have the initial quality surveys that we have here, but then that long-term 3 years and out, what does that look like? Well, we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You
I mean,
know.
there's a reason we measure initial quality differently than we measure,
Exactly.
8-year quality. It's different.
Yeah. So
that's good. All right, well, Cliff, what haven't we talked about that we should? We kind of bounced all over the place.
I don't know,
so
man. There's so much. I think M&A is going to be. I don't. We may see, but we'll see some deals this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see major ones. I mean, S&P Global Mobility is going to be spun out into its own. That it should happen, but again, you never know with the markets how the markets respond. Whether that plays out or not. I mean, I think 2027 will be a big year.
Yeah. For M&A.
For M&A, yeah. Some bigger, some of the bigger deals. After that, what else are we not talking? I don't know. I mean, there's so much, but I just think it's going to be more of a steady year. I hope for that.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So.
All right. Well, Cliff, thanks for joining me on day 1 of the show this year.
Wow, I'm so glad I did my first guest.
Yeah, you are. Well, I mean, we're starting day 1, so rocking and rolling.
Phenomenal. Thanks.
No.
It's better than being last, I'll say.
That's right. No, hey, always a pleasure. We'll have to get you over to see Ray real quick before you wander off. But we'll catch up again soon.
It's always fun, Greg. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Cliff.